Hi everyone, in this video we are going to code and style the blog section of our website. Within the blog section we have three different cards. They're very simple. We have an image, we have some kind of meta information that says who has written this blog post and what date. We have the description of the blog, and then we have a link that says learn more. And you could go ahead and add another page at this link, and when the user clicks on this link, the user will be redirected to where this blog post is actually written, like the entire post. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump into code. First off, what we are going to do is we are going to create our header. We know that that is going to be an H2, so I'm going to say let's create a comment. That is it. That is the title. So H2, I'm going to give it blog __ title, and then I'm going to give it a class of section __ title. So this is the title. Let's hit enter. It is going to say our recent. Then within the span element, I'm going to say blog posts. There we go. Let's add the section padding class, utility class, to this section as well. So now that that part is done, basically we want to code three cards, three blog posts. So I'm going to call that content. Now within the first I'm going to create a div that is going to say blog __ content. This is the main container, and within this container we're going to have three different subcontainers. So first one is going to be let's say post one. So what do we have there? First, let's create the container for it. It's going to be blog __ content, and I'm going to say -- post. So I'm going to name all of these classes the same thing, because what we have for all of the blog posts, whether they're 3 or 300, the styles, they're going to be the same. So we would want to style our blog posts the same. So what do we have first? The first element is going to be the image. It is going to be an image element, and I'm going to say loading is going to be equal to lazy. Let's give it a class as well, and I'm going to copy this part, copy it, put it there, and I'm going to say _ img. So this image is located within the images, within the images folder. And in there, we're going to go to blog 1, and I'm going to say blog post image. Let's save that. There we go. So this part is done. Let's jump out of it. So after the blog post, what do we have? We have the author information. So the author information is going to have two elements. One is going to be the date, or the author itself, the author's name, and then there is going to be the publication date. So we need to provide them within a div. So it's going to be post __ author. There we go. I'm going to create two paragraphs. I'm not going to give them any class. They're very self-explanatory. So I'm going to say posted by, I'm just going to say admin, and let's come here. It's going to be 1st of June 2022. There we go. So the author part is done as well. And the final two parts, they're going to be the paragraph as well as the link. So I'm going to say this is going to be the description. So let's call it the post description. That's a little bit more self-explanatory. And I'm going to create a paragraph element. Let's say post __ description. There we go. And in here, I could say lorem, I don't know, like 15. Yeah, that is cool. And finally, after that, let's say link. It is going to be an anchor element. The class is going to be post __ link. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to style this the same as our features section. So if I just go ahead and just go scroll towards the top, here we go. So these links, they're going to be styled in the same way, this one and the post one, the blog post one. That's why I created those utility classes. So this is going to have another class, and that is going to be section _ sub -link. There we go. It's not going to go anywhere. Now, what do we have in here? We're going to have a span element, and within the span element, we are going to have an angle bracket right. There we go. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to say span. So within the span, I'm going to say learn more. And after that, I'm going to create an I element, which is going to have a class of fa-solid. And the other class is going to be fa-angle dash right. There we go. Let's save that. Let's take a look at our changes. If I come down here, what do we have? There we go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of the height as well as the background color so we can see our changes visibly. There we go. So you can see all these styles, because we've used utility classes, all these styles, they're applied by default. We just have to add that class, then all the styles, they will be applied. So we are going to bring this blog post to the left. Don't worry about it. There we go. So the first blog post, it has been created. I'm going to copy that part, put it down here, and I'm going to save this. Let's go to post number 2. For post number 2, we are going to have image number 2. Now, what is different? I'm not going to change the author information, because I mean, at the end of the day, it is just dummy content. Why do I have to waste so much time? The only thing that I'm going to change is going to be the post image. So if I come here, you can see this image is different. And I'm going to copy this, put it down here, save it. So this is going to be post number 3. Save it. There we go. So I think with this, the HTML part has come to an end. And I'm going to collapse this part. I'm going to expand only the first post so we can see what elements we have in here. Now let's jump into CSS. Now the CSS for this section is extremely easy. It's very simple. There are no media queries. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the title on the left. Oops, not in here. So what do we want to do? We are going to say display flex. All the items that are aligned horizontally, but I want it to be vertically, so I'm going to say a flex direction column. Let's provide a row gap of 6 rem and a column gap of 0. Again, if you're wondering where these values they're coming from when you're creating websites, now for you it might be that 6 rem is too much. You might decrease this gap. Now that 6 rem belongs to this, so the distance from this title to this image, which is the container for the blog posts. So you might say, okay, this distance is too much, the space is too much, I'm going to reduce it to 3. Or you might say, okay, this distance is not that much, I'm going to increase it by 2 more rems, like 20 more pixels. So that's absolutely up to you. That is a 100% design choice, and everybody has a different eye. That is the cool thing about programming, that everyone has a different opinion. That's how we come up with these kind of diverse technologies, that each of them actually solves a specific problem. I mean, imagine if you had only one programming language. That would have been very, very chaotic. So go ahead and work with these. Now, if you're a beginner, my suggestion is just go ahead and adopt my values. And after you create all these 3 websites within this tutorial series, you're going to come up with your own style. You may not know it right away, but after you're done and when you start your 4th project, you're going to have this idea in mind. Okay, I'm going to do it differently. Then that's where that programming journey for you, it's going to start, and that is going to basically take you to places where you never thought you would end up. So that's actually how this thought process works. So it's working in your subconscious. It is always there. It is working, and after you have enough experience, it is going to kick in. So you need to go ahead and gain experience, and that comes from creating projects. If you have no idea how to create projects, you don't know, and you have no clue, no idea, just go ahead and follow this tutorial series from top to bottom, from start to finish, and then that idea is going to be start to take form inside your head, and you're going to come up with styles, you're going to come up with websites very easily. So you need to start at some point. Doesn't matter if that is my website or if that is your own website. You need to start typing and start writing code. Now, next thing that I would like to do is I'm going to grab the title and I'm going to put it on the left. So I'm going to say text align left. I'm going to grab the content block. Now, I'm not going to use any media queries, therefore I'm going to use grid. I mean, you could do this with flex, but I prefer grid. For automatic alignment, for the most part, not 100%, for the most part, for automatic alignment, I use grid. It gives me a little bit more control as to flex wrap to wrap. I mean, that is so unpredictable. That depends on so many things, but in here I actually specify the size of my columns, and I'm 100% sure how my columns are going to react to the size that I've chosen for them. But in Flexbox, Flex Wrap, that is not like 100% correct 100% of the times. I'm saying a lot of percentages, so let's move on. So it's going to be auto-fit. And I'm going to say min max. Now the minimum size is going to be 20 rem. That's why we're not going to use any media query, because at the smallest width it's going to be 200 pixels, and with the padding on the left and right it's never going to go more than like 250 or 230. So it's going to be responsive even below 300. So that's one thing that I'm sure about. There we go. And I'm going to say, okay, the row gap is going to be 5 rem, the column gap is going to be 3 rem. So this is what we have created, 3 columns. And if I keep decreasing the width of the window, I mean, why the gap is not being applied? Blog underscore content. So we have post 1, post 2, and post 3. Let's copy this. This is what we have done so far. Let us come in here. It's basically the same thing. So display grid template columns, min max, 20 rem and 1 FR, auto fit. I mean, everything is correct, right? Display grid, I mean, it should work. They should not overlap. There has to be some space, some gap between them. So this is testimonials, this is blog content. There has to be that gap. Let me take a look at the gap. So 5 rem for row. Okay, we don't have any rows, so we have only columns. That's going to be 3 rem. Okay, let us keep making the width. Okay, that is the images. The images are basically overflowing. That's okay. We need to set the width and height of the image to only contain their parents. So let's go ahead and let's actually implement that. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to say now each individual blog post is going to be a flex container. So I'm going to say blog content -- post. This is the class. We are going to say display flex. Everything is in horizontal. There we go. So everything is next to each other, but we don't want it to look like that. We are going to say flex direction column. Row gap is going to be 2 rem and column gap is going to be 0. Let's grab that image. So it's going to be _ img. Now I don't want it to overflow, so I'm going to say height 100%, width 100%, and I'm not increasing its height and width. I'm just fixing it to its container so it cannot overflow. Now if I keep decreasing the width of the window, it is always going to go up to 20 rem. It's going to be that small. There we go. And it's going to be responsive. There we go. So now it has jumped into the next line. There we go. And if we keep making it smaller and smaller like this, I could go smaller than that. We are going to see all 3 blog posts there on top of each other. That is cool. That is basically how we want to code this. Now, the final styles for the author, we need to increase the text. So I'm going to say content. So it's going to be blog. underscore content. This is going to be author. So what do I want to do here? So for the author, this is the container for those. I'm going to say display flex. Now I want, here is an application for justify content. So this element is right here and this one is right here. So they're stretched farthest from each other, or spaced farthest. So I'm going to use justify content space between. I'm going to say justify content space between. And I'm going to give them a gap in case the width of the columns, the width of the actual cards, they get small. I don't want them to be squished together. Let's grab the paragraph and increase their font size. So I'm going to say font size, var. This is going to be STS, and I'm going to give it an opacity of 0.5. There we go. That part is done. Now let's grab the description. So it's going to be blog author. Instead of that, I'm going to say description. And for description, I'm just going to say font size, dynamic small. There we go. So it did work within that as well. So I don't have to really say var. It is going to work. That is cool. Yep. There we go. Let's just take a look at our changes. It is a little bit big, and it is a dynamic value, and it is big. Let's take a look at our font sizes just very quick. So dynamic small. We don't have anything smaller than this. I could say dynamic extra small, and I could say 0.5 rem. Let's see. Now this is how you basically perfect or complete these custom properties and utility classes. So the more values you add, the more flexible your units they're going to be. So if I say access and if I save that, it is smaller. Now here you can see it's extremely big. I don't want it to be that big. They are basically responsive. These are very, very fluid types or fluid fonts. And now if I decrease the width of the window, they're going to get smaller as well. So if I just go to the smallest screen size, now you can see they're not that readable, right? I told you that I'm not going to provide any media queries. So I'm just going to set it to S. Now they're readable. Very cool. And for our link, because the link is out of alignment, let's go ahead and let's remove the padding. So blog content, and I'm going to say link padding 0. Let's save that. Now it should be where it is supposed to be. Let me get rid of that. Let's go to smallest screen size. There we go. So everything is responsive. We should not worry about anything. Where is this coming from? Okay, this is, I think, from here, from this part. Yeah, it's this. I don't want it to. I don't want to make it any thinner, so I'm just going to leave that there. Cool. Let's go to 1500. So with this lecture, the blog section of our website has also come to an end, and in the next video, we are going to wrap up this website as well, which is going to be, next video is going to be the final video of this tutorial series. And I may add more projects to this tutorial series, but I think in the context of YouTube, it makes more sense if I upload them standalone as opposed to attaching them to this tutorial series. This tutorial series is already a gigantic playlist on YouTube. It is going to take a lot of time and a lot of dedication for you to actually go ahead and complete it. So probably what I would do is that I'm not going to add any more videos to this tutorial series after the next one. And what I would do is I would add projects standalone, and they're going to have their own tutorials, their own playlist, because I do believe that lessons should be the website as a whole. It's a very, very large system that you need to come up with. And if you can just break it down into manageable parts, that is easier. However, I am also going to upload all of these videos as one video as well. So this entire tutorial series is going to be one gigantic video. I don't know how many hours. I think it's going to be more than 25 hours. All the HTML, the CSS on all 3 projects. And each of these projects, they're going to be uploaded individually as well. So in case you want to go over the entire series in one video, and you don't want to click to the next video, you can do that. And if you want to have access to every individual project as one video, you're going to have that access as well. So I'm going to make sure that everything is as accessible and as smooth as possible. So with this, our lecture comes to an end, and see you in the final lesson of this gigantic tutorial series.